Now, if you turned 18 in the last few years since the last voter registration exercise or have never registered to vote but wish to do so now, you have the chance to do that in less than 12 hours from now. The Electoral Commission's limited voter registration exercise starts from Thursday, April 28 to May 8. Some political parties and civil society groups don't think the EC has done a good job telling people about the exercise and where to vote. But Director of Administration Christian Usupari, who also speaks for the EC, says a lot of work has been done.
We'll go ahead with the registration. People complain about late start of publicity. In a way, I would say, well, we should have started a bit earlier, but you know, when you are changing the law, you have to wait until the law is matured before you can embark on any education on the changes that have been brought into the law. And that is why we have to wait until the 18th of this month to start advertising on radio and on television. But that is not to say that that was the day that sensitization started on the limited registration exercise. Even before then, we have engaged the political parties at IPAC. We have engaged the media in some sensitization workshops and education workshops. We have also engaged with people with disability and some marginalized groups. So even before we started playing our adverts on radio and on television, we were doing a lot of education and sensitization in the background.
Now, Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the NDC, Adeko Kamiwa, says the party is anticipating that 1.5 million first-time voters will be registered during the exercise, with a significant percentage likely to vote for the NDC.
As a party, we need to ensure that those who are 18 years above and those who did not register in the previous elections. So we've educated our members, our branches, we've activated our branches to ensure that they mobilize people in that category to go and register. That's the job of the party. You see, instead of the parties wasting their time fighting the EC, you have to go and work, mobilize your base, right, to ensure that what they have to do for you to win an election is done.
Okay, so for you, the party, what's the figure you have of the number of people who would have to get registered within this period?
No, you cannot. We are looking at least between 1 million and 1.5 million people to come and add on to the electoral rate. But if you look at 10 years ago or 8 years ago when the NDC came to power, right, most of them must have been 10 years of age. And so 8 years, they are now 18. And if you look beyond the Greater Accra and the whole country, at least look at the birth rate or the birth statistics, you realize that at least at this particular moment, we are looking at between 1 and 1.5 million youth to have matured to become people of voting, in addition to those who were not in the country when probably registration was going on in previous times.
Okay.
The voter registration exercise to be conducted by the Electoral Commission from Thursday offers an opportunity for qualified Ghanaians to pick up voter IDs that will allow them to exercise their franchise during elections. That is, however, not the only reason why people go for voter IDs. For most people, it's the only ID they are likely to pick up all their lives, so they could present them for transactions such as withdrawing money from the bank and whenever they were asked to show some form of ID. Joy News' Kwabena Chenchahine caught up with 4 students of the University of Ghana between the ages of 18 and 21 who expressed similar sentiments.
So the Electoral Commission officially commences the limited voter registration exercise on Thursday, April 28, 2016. So today, we just want to find out from some people who are now getting ready to enter this fray and getting ready to decide on who it is they feel will be the best person to lead the country beyond 2016. I have 3 ladies and 1 gentleman. To my extreme right, I have here with me Barbara. Barbara is to my extreme right. And then I have Nana, who is sitting right next to Barbara. And then there's Benjamin, that's also a level 100 student at the University of Ghana. And I have Tabitha. She's also a student of the University of Ghana. So thank you very much for joining me. So let me start off with, obviously, Barbara, voter registration exercise is tomorrow. Are you planning on really going to register and get a voter's ID?
Yeah, I am.
You're planning on it?
Yeah.
Any particular reason why you want to get a voter's ID?
Yes, because I want to vote for the elections and also for my bank accounts.
Okay, so you want to use it as a purpose for identification?
Yeah.
Let me come to Nana. Nana, you're also getting an ID now. Have you already registered?
No.
You've never registered, so this is going to be your first time?
Yeah, first time.
Does anything push you to just go ahead and go and get this thing? Because some say it's quite stressful, being in the sun for a long time, queuing up and down just so you can get the ID card.
Okay, actually, I really want to vote.
Okay, so here is Benjamin. Any specific reason why you want to be a part of the process?
As I said, I want to vote to elect a new leader.
Okay.
To run the affairs of the state.
How about you?
I want to vote. I want to exercise my franchise, my rights, and I just want to have that experience. I've never voted before. If I exercise my franchise, I know that it will count, and if it counts, any decision that takes place in the country directly or indirectly affects me. So yeah, I have to go do it.
And how about you, Benjamin?
I really want to vote, but based on their ideology, I'll vote for someone whose ideology is going to benefit me and the nation at large.
Explain more to me what you mean by the ideology.
Like the goals they have for the nation, what they plan of doing. I'll look at that before voting.
They usually put all those things in the manifesto. So are you just going to pick the manifesto, read it? If it's convenient enough for you, then you say, okay, you know what, I'm going to vote for candidate X.
Yeah. I'll listen to them. If they really catch my attention, I'm going to vote for them.
Tabitha, but some would say that over the years, not many parties have done so well by implementing the things in their manifestos. Are you also looking at towing the manifesto line? You want to listen to what they have to say, or the policies they have outlined in their manifesto before you vote?
Okay, I think you look at the individuals too standing for the various positions, the presidential position, because sometimes some of them come and they just lie. They say they will do this and that and that, and they don't end up doing it. So I think you listen to them and you look at what they really want to do. You look at it from their hearts, whether they mean what they are saying or not, then you can vote for one.
What are you going to look out for in your new leader?
Yeah, I'm going to look for characteristics. I want his personality to be exceptional. He should have this charisma. I don't want to look at the manifestos anymore because all of them lie. As far as I'm concerned,
all the political parties lie.
All of them lie. They all come with listed things they want to do, and at the end of the day, they just achieve one or two, making roads and things, and that's it. So right now, I'm going to look at the person himself, and I'm going to rely on my instincts. If I feel this person really wants to do something and it can help, I'm not concerned with the party.
But how are you able to determine that the person really wants to do something for you?
Everybody has the power of instincts.
So those were the words of some very young people who are looking forward to voting come November 7. Clearly, we do know that the Electoral Commission, like I mentioned earlier, is having this limited voter registration exercise on Thursday, 28th April, and they are extending this very call on quite a number of people who are willing and ready to vote. Once you meet the criteria, you should just go to any nearest polling station and then you can vote. My name is Kwabena Chenchen, reporting from University of Ghana, Legon.
For those wondering where they could register, the EC has designated some locations within your constituency where you can get your name on the voters roll. These locations have been listed on the EC's website. Let me show how you can access that kind of information. So this is the Electoral Commission's website. And so you come here, you go to register to vote. When you click on register to vote, it would ask you, it would take you to where to register. So when you go to where to register, it would then take you to this page. It says it's the movement plan. It says you should click to download the plan for your region. So you go to the Greater Accra region where we are. If you click on the Greater Accra region, it downloads the movement plan and you can open it and you can get to see which location, find the location where you are, and then you can get to, it will indicate where exactly you can get to register. For us here in the Kokomlemle area, which we are here at Joy, where multimedia is, you can get to go to the ATTC where it starts. So it's in phases. First of all, you can get to go to, it starts tomorrow from the ATTC, that's Thursday from the ATTC, and then it moves to Harvard. There's a Harvard school in the community, and that's where you can get to go and vote. So this actually takes us to the Harvard schools. It's not the Ivy League Harvard, it's our own local Harvard. And you can see this, Know Your Registration Center. So it's indicated there, and you can get to go to that location and get to register. So there are places that have been listed on the EC's website, and it indicates, as you have seen earlier, they said it's the movement plan, which means that for each area, there will be, or the limited registration exercise will take place in a particular location for a while, for the first phase, and then it will move to another part of that constituency where you can also get to go and register. Now, still with the elections, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, says it has deployed a total of 250 observers nationwide to observe the conduct of the 2016 limited voter registration exercise. Training for the observers, CODEO says, was on Tuesday, April 26, 2016, and that it has received accreditation for the exercise from the Electoral Commission. A statement from CODEO says its observers deployed in all the 216 districts across the country will observe both the first and second phases of the exercise, which commences tomorrow, Thursday, April 2016, April 28, 2016, and ends on Sunday, May 8. Now, the statement reads, I'll go to the rest of the statement from CODEO. It says, CODEO would observe proceedings at registration centers, including the opening of the centers, the availability of registration materials and function of equipment, the conduct of election officials, compliance to registration rules and procedures as captured in Constitutional Instrument CI 91, and turnout for the exercise. CODEO will share its observation findings on the exercise with the public. The coalition is calling on the EC to intensify publicity on the exercise, particularly on the modalities for the exercise. CODEO entreats political parties and all Ghanaians to refrain from acts that can negatively affect the smooth conduct of the exercise. CODEO also wants to use the opportunity to call on the media and all stakeholders to support public education about the registration exercise, which is exactly what we're doing right now, is to let you know where you can, or how you can get to know where you can get to register in the ongoing exercise. And as the process continues, we'll continue to speak about it and get to enlighten you a lot more about it. Now, staying with the elections, the police administration says it will fiercely resist attempts by any person or political grouping to influence the operations this election year. The service has been accused in previous elections of doing the bidding of governing parties. But speaking at a dialogue workshop organized by the Institute of Economic Affairs on Wednesday, Director of Operations at the Ghana Police Service, Dr. Benjamin Gojo, says there will be no room for bias in the November polls.
National Election Security Task Force, by its nature and the way it's constituted, is meant to be insulated from any kind of interferences, all right? And it is also to build confidence in all the parties and the stakeholders, okay? Now, if we have, for instance, a DCE standing for election, who is also in charge of the DISEC and also standing as an MP, giving directives as to how the district commander should do his work, I don't think that it will be very fair to all the other parties. And that is why policemen are going to be very professional, and the task force is going to be professional to prosecute its agenda, independently, although they will work with DISEC, they will work with RECSEC, but in the prosecution of their duty, especially in election-related issues, they will assert themselves and be independent.
Now, he says the service will also do drastically with political party vigilante groups and whip them in line.
What we have sought to do is to use a dual approach. We could just go start chasing them, but we have used a lot of fora to ensure that we get the political parties themselves involved. They have told us categorically that they have nothing to do with vigilante groups, which means that, like I said, we'll treat vigilante groups like any criminal gang in a professional way, in a decisive manner. And that is the point we are making.
Speaking at the same event, Appeals Court Judge Professor Justice Zain Sejay revealed that the Chief Justice has inaugurated a task force to train judges on Ghana's electoral law.
The Lady Chief Justice has set up another task force made up of 3 Supreme Court justices, a Justice of the Court of Appeal, and 2 persons to continue with the training of judges and magistrates throughout the country on electoral laws to enable them acquire the necessary skills and knowledge to ensure that the laws are applied with the aim of achieving speedy and effective justice. The emphasis is on speedy and effective justice. DFID has promised to make funds available to the Judicial Service for the project. The judiciary is determined to ensure that all electoral cases brought to the court will be dealt with expeditiously according to law. The assurance from the judiciary is that it will discharge its constitutional and statutory duties by disposing all the cases that will be filed before the courts fairly and expeditiously without fear or favor, affection or ill will according to law.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break at this point, but we have more stories coming up. Please don't go away. Now, almost a year after completing their training, some 2,000 unemployed health staff are still waiting for the necessary formalities so they could be absorbed into the public health sector. The trained nurses and midwives say they are particularly frustrated because by virtue of a bond they signed with government, they cannot be employed by the private sector until 5 years after serving government. The affected health staff demonstrated in Accra on Wednesday to pressure government to immediately post them to take them out of their misery.
The bonded but yet to be posted nurses converged at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra for a morning devotion, asking God to touch the hearts of authorities to post them as soon as possible.
In the name of Jesus. The Bible said that we would decree and it to be established. We believe that it has been established. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Holy Spirit. In the name of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Let the saints say amen.
The nurses say they are frustrated with the system. The Wednesday morning protest is to register their displeasure over government's failure to post them to the various health facilities in the country upon completion of their training. President of the coalition, Adam Masahudu, said their members are tired of the lip services paid to them over the time.
On this issue, as at January 18th, we haven't got any response. On the 19th of February, we wrote again to the Minister of Health. We haven't gotten any response. 29th of February, we wrote again to the His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, and wrote again to the Health Minister, the Speaker of Parliament, Parliamentary Health Committee on Health, and all fell on deaf ears. And we made other contacts, and up to now, we haven't got any good results.
Messages displayed on their placards sought to tell government through the ministry responsible for posting that they are hungry and need to be posted urgently.
The hungriness is a potential killer because if you don't have the sound mind to attend to your client, there is that possibility of you causing harm to the person.
Looking at all the stress I've gone through in school, getting the admission to go to Kolebu, in fact, and finishing my licensing exams and pass through this 1 year service. And my bond tells me when I'm done, I'm to start an immediate work. Here is a situation that has not been done. What wrong did I commit to pass through all this? What did I do to deserve this kind of difficulties?
The nurses marched through some principal streets of Accra and later converged at the Heart Spark to present a petition to the Ministry of Health. Director for Legal Services at the Ministry received their petition. The nurses are, however, not satisfied. They vow to return in a week if they do not get any positive response.
For the response, I'm satisfied. I'm only happy that government has actually been represented to take the petition. But for the response, he hasn't given us any response because he hasn't responded to any of the demands that we are making.
What timelines have you given government?
We are demanding immediate, and immediate is from today, from today. And at least within a week or two, we would come back if we are not receiving any good information from government. The bond, if government is not listening to us, we are considering taking legal actions in the near future if things are not put in place. But if you look at the bond, the unfortunate aspect of the bond is that it did not hold government committed to the bond. It only commit the students, and that is very, very unfortunate. But we'll try and see if we can get some human rights to address that.
Well, Public Relations Officer for the Ministry of Health, Tony Goodman, has dismissed the nurses' claims, insisting due process is being followed. He explains the 10-month lag after their graduation is standard practice and urged the health workers to pick up placement forms at the various regional offices and follow due process.
I don't know about delay because, as we are aware, we issued a press statement last week requesting for these nurses to go and buy or acquire forms from the various agencies where recruitment process will begin. And according to them, they don't want to buy forms. They want us to post them before they go for the forms. We are the employers. We are telling you to go get the form, fill, and then we'll go through the process. You said no. So I'm surprised. I was surprised to hear that you have people demonstrating supposed to go to, which is the ideal thing. That's the only thing they can get.
According to some of these nurses I interacted with some few hours ago, they are saying they haven't cited these forms to even buy them. They want to know exactly where these forms have been placed.
My sister, they know. They know. Some of them have procured this form. There is something like leadership here. The leadership is the Ministry of Health. We train them. They are part of our ministry. We bonded them, and we are saying that go and pick a form, and I will employ you. I don't know where this.
How long does it take for them to be fully absorbed into the system? How long must it take? If
you complete nursing school within 10 months, we should be able to process your document and make sure you are employed. Within 10 months, we've not even gotten to 9 months. They are still in 8 months. So we have asked them to go get their forms and then they'll be posted.
So 10 months is supposed to be the standard practice?
Yes, that is what we've agreed with their mother association, which is
you agreed with them how?
Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwife Association. They know about this policy. And then I met the president, but it's not even up to 10 months for you to start going on demonstration and that.
Right, I can't help but just being curious what happens to these nurses and midwives for the 10 months that they are waiting to be posted. Who takes care of them? Right, in other news, about 200 people in the Ashanti region have been screened to benefit from a free plastic surgery initiative to correct some defects on their bodies. Graft Foundation is embarking on the initiative to help the many who cannot afford the cost of surgery to correct their conditions. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin filed the following report.
Ghana Foundation has since 2013 been able to bring hope to over 400 persons by correcting their defect in 8 out of 10 regions in the country. 70 persons in Ivory Coast have also benefited from the free services as part of the foundation's ECOWAS outreach. It is now the turn of Ashanti region. 200 persons have been selected from the region to benefit from the free reconstructive plastic surgery from the 27th of May to the 6th of June 2016. The project coordinator of the foundation, Dr. Ghana.Anani, said they bring their services to the doorstep of the people because not everyone can travel to Accra or Kumasi to undergo the surgery.
What we're going to do is we are going to have a selection process where we are going to group the patients into different sects, so that we have the first sect being operated in May, and then subsequently we have the second set being operated in, God willing, September. Now, however, we are doing this wonderful job, but we need support. Because as you rightly asked, how is the way forward? We've seen these people. Now it's left with even the kind of logistics and consumables we need to do this work.
Founder of Graft Foundation and the head of plastic surgery and burns at the 37 Military Hospital, Dr. Kwame Abrakwa Yentra, described people's inability to undergo surgery due to cost as worrying and their failure to visit the nearest hospital as a challenge.
Looking at the advanced countries, there are foundations, and these foundations are charitable organizations to help society. So it's the same situation whereby we are doing this. And as I've said, at the time that we formed Grant Foundation, there were only 8 plastic surgeons, but gradually our numbers are going up. And even in developed countries, we still have charity service going on. In fact, I work with a surgeon who is in the US, and for cleft, there's a hospital where he go there and work for free every Saturday in a month. He go and give his services.
The public is advised to visit the hospital regularly to correct any deformity on their bodies. Dr. Kwame Abrakwa-Yentra also called for public support. Some of the beneficiaries were hopeful that the surgery will be of great benefit to them.
Watching Joy News Prime, we're taking a break. Up next, we bring you business news. Right, time for business, and Emmanuel Bajuriafe is here. Good evening to you, Emmanuel.
Good evening, Israel.
So I know that the Ghana Statistical Service has released or updated our 2015 economic growth figures, yes. And you have that for us.
Exactly, yes.
Plus the IMF review meetings. Has it started?
It started today, actually.
Right.
You know, barely 2 weeks ago, they had to postpone it because of the fears of terrorism, you know. But now it started, and 3 key indicators are being looked at. I mean, the extent of the public debt, and then also election spending, as well as the economic growth rates. Yes.
Right. You take it away.
All right, thank you very much. In business, the true state of the country's public debt, economic growth, and election year spending are set to dominate Ghana's 3rd review under the IMF program. The fund mission, led by Joel Tuja Bernard, have begun a series of meetings with government and other interest groups as part of the team's 2-week visit to Ghana. George Wiafe has more.
Visit by the IMF mission to Ghana is coming on after it was postponed last week over terrorist fears in the country. The review is critical to aid the disbursement of funds under the program. Already, a little over $300 million has been given to Ghana. But for government, the most important thing is the restoration of investor confidence, which has delayed in coming. But responding to a question posed by Joy Business in Washington, D.C., Managing Director of IMF, Christine Lagarde, believes passing all the review under the program will help quicken this market confidence.
Say that, you know, for any country under a current program to actually deliver under the program, go through the review one after the other, is probably the best response to market concerns about the stability and the macroeconomic policies decided by the country.
For followers of the program, another area that could come under serious scrutiny is government's expenditure plan for the coming months, especially in an election year. This is because there are fears that the public debt, which stood at around 97 billion Ghana cedis as at December, could increase substantially. Adel Hang Sindhanji is Deputy Director of the Fiscal Affairs Department of the IMF.
The debt ratio is relatively high for emerging market, and Ghana is one of them. What is more important is not just basically the level of debt, but also the trajectory of the debt. The question, frankly, to tell you the truth, is whether that effort will continue or not over time, particularly in light of elections and whether difficult conditions.
Ghana has so far passed 2 reviews, which has led to the release of over $300 million to the country. Ghana last year initiated the IMF program to help stabilize the economy, restore market confidence, and help reform the structure of the economy. The country is expected to get about $1 billion under the 3-year program, which will end in 2017.
And in a related development, Deputy Minister of Finance Ato Forson is optimistic Ghana will pass the 3rd review of the IMF to aid the release of the required funds for the country.
Investors are coming in, FDIs are growing. We are actually seeing improvement in the investors participating in government bonds. All of that. So you should look at the numbers to support it. It's not happening. It's maybe perception because of past experiences. It's not happening now. People like everyone else saying Ghana will not succeed with the World IMF Program 1, that we may not even get a board approval. Commentators in the country talking about us not even passing the 1st review, 2nd review. We are doing 3rd review and we'll pass.
Now, the economy has recorded a significant growth for last year. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, the economy grew by almost 4% for last year. Business editor George Rafe was at the briefing by the Ghana Statistical Service where Deputy Government Statistician Ban Wadie announced GDP estimates.
The provisional 2015 fourth quarter real GDP grew by 4.9% year-on-year. The estimate for the fourth quarter 2014 was 4.5%. The non-oil provisional GDP for the fourth quarter real GDP grew by 5.1% year-on-year. The estimate for 2014 fourth quarter for non-oil GDP was 4.7%. Quarter-on-quarter seasonally adjusted real GDP growth rate for 2015 quarter 4 was 1.3%. The estimate for 2015 third quarter was 1.0%.
So still on issues relating to GDP estimates, the economy is now worth 139 billion Ghana cedis. Now, when the total amount is shared among the 27 million population, each person will receive 5,057 Ghana cedis, or in dollar equivalent, $1,335. Now, some stakeholders in the banking sector are expressing confidence in the new central bank governor to achieve his set targets. The governor, in his first public address after he was sworn in by the president last Monday, outlined some key issues he hoped to tackle during his tenure as in office. Now, inflation, stability of the Ghana cedi, and sanitizing the microfinance sector were some of the issues highlighted. The marketplace has been interacting with the managing director of Women's World Bank Ghana, Charlotte Lily Baidu, who is of the opinion that the governor should be non-political so as to achieve the set targets.
Yesterday, in his address at the conference center, he mentioned that he's going to beat down inflation, work on the stability of the cedi, as well as, control the issues in the microfinance sector. Now, what do you make of this? Do you think it's feasible? Do you think he can achieve it?
I hope that the new governor will try as much as possible to bring the inflation rate, which is 19.2 at the end of March, to about 15%. Also to try and bring the policy rate, which is 26%, to about 22%. The T-bill rate right now, the 182 days, is hovering around 24.5. The policy rate is 26%. The bankers, they have their own rate, which is 28.5. It is my firm commitment and belief that this governor will be able to bring these rates down so that the economy will see the prospect that we are all expecting it to be. Also, I expect the governor to try as much as possible to tighten the monetary policy and make sure that the cedi is able to compete very well with these external currencies. If he's able to stand firm, think independently, diversify his thinking from the previous governor, and try as much as possible not to be a politician but a professional, and put Ghana at the center of affairs, I think that it is achievable. And it is our hope that he achieves it.
Away from financial issues, young educated women desirous of finding roles as professional drivers within the various sectors of the economy can now heave a sigh of relief. The network Women in Growth, in conjunction with Empower Foundation, has launched the NEWIC Young Women in Professional Driving Project. The aim is to equip educated young women with the necessary skills to occupy driving roles in different organizations. Speaking to Joy Business at the launch of the project, Executive Director of NEWIC, Mausi Nudeko Awiti, indicated that the project will also ensure appropriate placement of all qualified trainees in secured jobs as professional drivers.
Looking at male-dominated vocations and seeing where women can easily fit in, so that we break that stereotype that certain things are for men and certain things are for women. And now we got being a gender employment organization, had been doing this female male-dominated vocations for over 12 years.
All right, so we now go to John, who has just joined us for updates on the stock market. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Emmanuel.
Yes, so what's going on the stock market?
On the stock market today, after experiencing that high number of volume and values yesterday, I think the market is actually resting. I think I can say it overheated yesterday, so I think it's actually cooling. It recorded some marginal increase movement here and there, not that. But then the news is that Standard Chartered lost almost about 30 pesos actually today on the market. That's quite significant there. So
yesterday gained.
Yes, no, GCB gained yesterday.
Okay.
Standard Chartered did not actually even make that mark, but it's been losing over the period. But today, it lost about 36 pesos to the investors. It's been losing over the period actually, and there's still some supply pressure behind Standard Chartered, but meaning that people still want to buy Standard Chartered shares at a lower cost.
Okay.
So that's exactly the news actually happening. Apart from that, Total lost 10 pesos, GCB lost after gaining that amount at adding 7 pesos to the investor capital. Now it's losing almost about 1 peso. Unilever actually has come to the fray, also losing 1 peso to their investors capital. So that's exactly what is happening here. Noted, crude is $47.15. Very significant. This afternoon we're recording almost about 45. Now this evening, the market has almost about 2-3 hours to go. We're still experiencing some demand pressures on that particular commodity, and we're expecting the price to actually move up. So hopefully by tomorrow we should be seeing oil in the regions of about 48, 49 thereabout. It's very possible. Gold also did gain, $3.21 to close at 1,246. So that's how basically the market is gaining. But cocoa also did lose, which is not that big in news actually, because it's been losing over a period of time. It gains very big as well, 21 to now it's trading around 3,190. That is how exactly. But then the CD is still almost around the same, okay, gaining against the US dollar, somehow wallowing around there with the British pound. The euro is still losing, but then gain against the Chinese one and then the CFA franc. So within this particular week, the CD is still quiet. It's maintained that momentum of recovery against the United States dollar, but still finding it very difficult to get access to that linchpin to win against the British pound and then the euro. But of course, when we are winning against the US dollar, everybody will say hallelujah to it, because that's the most traded currency here in Ghana, even though we have the British pound and the euro. But a lot of business people do business with the US dollar more than any other currency here in Ghana. So I think maintaining that momentum is quite good for business people. So the market, some mixed feelings in there. I think tomorrow will bring some good news. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for the update. John Kojo Amako is our stock market analyst, ending tonight's business. Thanks for your company. More stories coming up. Don't go away.
The Ghana Armed Forces has started a process that will see qualified Ghanaians enlisted into the service. The service last year placed a temporary embargo on recruitment after more than 500 new recruits were sacked for acts of insubordination. Derek Akosam was at the Elwak Sports Stadium in Accra, and Reporter Center has already been overwhelmed with potential recruits waiting to go through the various phases of enlistment into the army.
For some, it's a long sought-after dream. For others, an opportunity to serve the nation. And then there are the applicants who say the recent terrorist attack on neighboring countries is a reason they want to join the various units that make up the Ghana Armed Forces to protect the country. To some other people who go to the center as early as 6 a.m., being in the armed forces is a respite from the current unemployment abyss they find themselves in.
Since my childhood, that is my plan, my decision I made that I want to be, because I like it, it is good, and I look at myself, I wish I would be if I can join them. I think that is why I like it, and all my role, I feel to it that I can base them more than the other areas. Even though I can teach, I can do things, but not as compared if I'm to do this military service, because I see myself to be more talented than the other fields.
Nowadays, it's like terrorists are trying to invade in so many countries, especially Ghana, and those kind of Nigeria and Togo. So I think if I join the army, I'll make sure that that terrorists, I'll stop them. This has been my vision. This has been my interest, being an army.
I want to fight for my country, Ghana. The other things I can do to serve my country, but I wish to join the army. I play drum, so yeah, I'll be in the band.
Ever since I was in school, I joined the cadets because I want to join the army. That is my future job.
only I want to do. So I come for enlistment. This is my second time coming for enlistment, and I'm trying to join the Ghana Armed Forces to defend external and internal aggression. I have the morale for it too. I think going for other services, I don't feel like doing other courses.
But that dream has just started here at the Elwak Stadium and other centers across the country. From applying online, having their documents cross-checked, and going through the body check processes, these civilians want to start a new life, devoid of the many pleasures they may be used to. Perhaps donning the camouflage green uniform may also be a reason they want to transition from ordinary Ghanaians to men and women who will go to any length to ensure the safety of the country. With 3 other phases to go through, the recruits can only hope and pray that the long-wished-for dream becomes a reality. For Joy News, Derek Ekol-Sam, Elwak, Accra.
Right, so we wish them all the best. Now, incoherent and what could be described as disjointed account by Christopher Bama, the 16-year-old boy beaten by 3 military officers in the northern region, reveals he is still not recovered from the psychological trauma he suffered. The victim, who is steadily recovering from the injuries he sustained from the 6-hour torture after he was accused of stealing a mobile phone belonging to one of them. Christopher Bama, speaking for the first time to the media after his chilling encounter, says the 3 officers don't deserve to be in the military, and dismissing them is the only action that will give him satisfaction. Latif Idris has more.
A week ago, Christopher Bama visited the Joy News studio with his brother. He could not walk then and was carried by his brother. At that time, he was still suffering from the pain inflicted on him by 3 colleagues of these military officers who carried him into an ambulance to get treatment after hearing the chilling story on the Super Morning Show. He was taken to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Today, Christopher looks different. Unlike the last time when he could neither walk nor speak, he manages some steady steps and struggles to give an account of what happened to him on that day.
Hang me to a mango tree.
They hanged you on a mango tree?
Yes, please. So that time was around 9 to get into 10. So that was the place that they were starting beating me. That time the soldiers was 2. So they beat me up to 12. And they were saying,
from what time?
9 to 12.
9 to 12?
Yeah. So that time they were asking me that they have to send me inside the barracks and kill me.
And so, kill you?
Yeah. That time one of the soldiers were holding gun. So they sent me there. And
so they threatened you with a gun?
Yeah.
That if you don't tell the truth, they were going to shoot you?
Yeah, please. So they were sending me inside the barracks, saying that they want to kill me. So that time was almost getting to 1 o'clock. So they still hang me to the mango tree again. That time another man was around there, come and add them. There were 3.
So after beating you from 9 to 12, they again hanged you on the mango tree and then started another session.
So they have to beat me. If they have tired, they have to sit down and smoke before they continue beating me.
Smoke what?
They were smoking weed.
Okay.
So that time they were now 3. I don't know whether the other one was a soldier. Although that time my eyes was not clear.
Okay.
But they were,
you were unconscious at that time?
Yeah. So they hung me to a mango tree and continue beating me. So they beat me up to 3 o'clock to 4. And that time I was not able to speak. All my body, I can't even wake up. I was begging about water. Nobody give me water.
He has only one wish.
By myself, I would like to sack them to the workplace.
You also want to sack them?
Yeah, it could be better.
You think it would be better if you give them the sack?
Yeah. It could be better.
His medical report is currently being sent to the Northern Regional Command of the Ghana Police Service to aid with investigations.
Director of the Reconstructive Plastic Surgery and Burn Center of the Kolbu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Opoku Ware Ampoma, says 16-year-old Andy, who suffered acid burns, is in dire need of funds to undergo skin grafting. The surgical procedure involves removing the skin from one area of the body and moving it or transplanting it to another part of the body which has lost its protective covering of skin due to burns, injury, or illness. The patient has had nearly half of his skin peeled off after his dad's tenant poured acid on him. Dr. Pokuware also revealed the patient, Andy Dodu, is currently not being adequately nourished, with implications for his recovery.
Because of the nature of the burns, they are quite deep, and he would require surgery, that's skin grafting, to be able to get the wounds to heal. His challenge has been one mainly of financial support, because he's not be able to afford his dressings, and even nutritionally he has a serious deficit. So we need to build him up nutritionally before we'll be able to undertake some of the treatments. And also he needs some medications to treat infection in the wound and all that.
So how is his condition?
Well, at the moment I'll say clinically he's stable, but he's not out of the woods yet. So we need to be aggressive and pursue his treatment so that we can get him, back on the road to recovery.
In total, how much would you say he needs to take?
And because of the nature of the condition, it's quite difficult to give a definite figure, but I would say that he would need somewhere in excess of 25,000 Ghana cedis for his treatment. He's going to be under treatment for probably the next few months, and he will need a lot of resources and input to get him back on his feet. So we're trusting that with your support, and we'll be able to give him the optimum care that he needs so that he can get on with his life and fulfill his potential.
Up next, we bring you international news. You're watching Joy News Prime Time now for a recap of our top stories. Coalition of Domestic Election Observers deploys personnel across the country as limited voter registration exercise begins from Thursday. The police administration, meanwhile, says it will fiercely resist attempts by any political group or individuals to influence their operations this election year. Hundreds of trained nurses and midwives demonstrate over delay by government to post them to health facilities across the country. In business, the country's public debt, economic growth and election year spending set to dominate Ghana's third IMF review as team begins review process under bailout program. And the Ghana Armed Forces has begun the process to add to its numbers. In other news, the presidential candidate of the Convention People's Party has accused the ruling National Democratic Congress and the opposition New Patriotic Party of failing to continue the policies and ideologies of Ghana's first president, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Ivo Kobna Green Street was speaking at the 44th commemoration of the death of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in Accra.
Some executives of the Convention People's Party, government officials and some citizens Wednesday morning gathered at the Kwame Nkrumah Museum to mark the 44th anniversary of the death of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The leader and presidential candidate of the Convention People's Party, Ivo Greenstreet, accused the National Democratic Congress and the opposition New Patriotic Party for not propagating the policies and ideas of the late president, promising the CPP will implement those in transformation policies when it comes into power.
Unless we follow new policies, then we are going to get the same results. And so the ideas are still relevant, but they are difficult ideas to follow. And that is why we continue to propagate those ideas. That is why through this process of Pamfrofro, which we have been talking about, we are engaging all sectors of the Ghanaian population.
But in an interview with Joy News, the Minister of State at the presidency, Akwesi Oponfosu, says policies the Mahama-led government is implementing, especially in the area of infrastructure, are not far from Dr. Nkrumah's ideas.
Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah lived for humanity, and his ideals and vision defined his politics. And in this regard, his policies drawn from his politics was to ensure that there is equality in terms of access to resources. Now, in doing so, he designed and implemented a lot of social programs that made it possible for even some of us to have education to the level that we attained. His policies, I dare say, are not different from what the NDC is pursuing and implementing. You bear with me that the infrastructural development projects currently going on in this country, both economic infrastructure, roads, ports, name them, and social intervention programs are.
President John Mahama has inaugurated another Community Day Senior High School in the Brong-Ahafo region town of Edema with a call on the people to bear with his government even as it works towards developing their part of the country. According to the President, the ongoing inauguration of Community Day Senior High Schools across the country reflects the commitment of his government to deliver the 200 promised in 2012. Joining us is Brong-Ahafo regional correspondent Nestor Kafuyajama was with President Mahama's Accounting for the People team and filed this report.
President John Mahama, on the first day of his Accounting to the People tour of the Brong-Ahafo region, said his government will continue to fulfill the promise to build 200 Community Day Senior High Schools, even though many constantly doubt that ability.
Reflection of the importance we attach to my vision of expanding access to secondary education to benefit all communities in this country. In addition to the community day schools, I've also launched the secondary education improvement program, and that also reflects our commitment to the expansion of equitable access to secondary education in Ghana. Many doubted this resolve and vision when I announced it, declaring that my administration cannot even build one of such schools. But today, with the support of many progressive chiefs like you, who have supported our work and in many cases provided land free of charge, we're here in Dema to inaugurate the first completed Community Day Senior High School in the Brong-Ahafo region.
President Mahama appealed to the Dema Traditional Council and other stakeholders to help make the establishment of the Dema Community Day Senior High School a reality. He stressed that a close collaboration of all players in education will ensure success of the school.
It is my hope that this facility will be handled with best practice. The chiefs and the teachers in this community must come together to ensure that the children who attend this school will get the best tuition.
The chief of Dema, Nana Owusu Asante, commended the National Democratic Congress government under President John Mahama for the numerous development projects in his area.
Now, she may have bowed out as transport minister, but now Jifar Tivo is facing a different monster in the room. Her utterances on the campaign trail in the Ketu South constituency of the Volta region has courted a lot of disaffection. The latest to hang her for making ethnocentric comments is former President Jerry John Rawlings. In a statement released this afternoon, former President Rawlings condemned former Transport Minister Jifar Tivo's comments as distasteful. Jerry Rawlings warns Ghanaians to shun politicians who make immature pronouncements. I'll read you the statement, which is on My Joy Online. It's under there. Rawlings condemns Jifar Tivo, defends Akufo-Addo. And so the statement reads, my attention has been drawn to a statement made by a former Minister for Transport, Jifar Tivo, at a political event at Wodoaba in the Volta region. I find it distasteful that aside making ethnocentric references accusing the NPP presidential candidate of being tribalistic, she also insinuated that because I was the founder of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, the electorate in the Volta region should vote for the party on that basis. Before making such unfortunate statements, let's remove the logs in our own eyes. I do not subscribe to the politics of ethnic bias and never have. While I may not be a fan of the NPP, I know their presidential candidate is not tribalistic or ethnocentric. Whatever Nanado's shortcomings, tribalism is not one of them. Some known and respected Voltarians like Ntifafa Kwenyehia should be able to testify to his political nature. As we draw closer to the next presidential and parliamentary elections, we all, as Ghanaians, expect all parties involved in the process to base their arguments and campaign rhetoric on the truth and desist from emotional and non-factual statements, especially where my name has to be mentioned. I implored the electorate not to allow immature behavior and pronouncements to cloud their judgment. And he's not the only person who's had to speak to this issue. The Greater Accra chairman of the NDC, Adekoka, has also been reacting to this. This is what he's had to say.
I believe in a unitary state, and our past records over these things makes people make such kind of comments, right? I believe that as a country, any government that comes to power should not be vindictive, right? Over the years, since the fall of Kwame Nkrumah, we have practiced this vindictiveness. Any government that comes, well, so probably in a broader statement that she was trying to make, she has narrowed it down to the L-word. But I think.
But don't you think this is ripping up ethnic sentiment?
No,
is a wrong
I
former minister of state.
I don't agree with the narrowness of the statement that she made. I don't agree with the narrowness, but I think in a broader perspective, that is what she's trying to draw our attention to. That we should stop being vindictive. Any government that comes it must be continuous.
But she was specific with the MPP, not in general.
And that's why I'm saying that in a broader sense, that is how I will look at it. That's why I say I don't condone the narrowness of the statements.
But do you condemn her comments on this matter?
I believe it was not properly made.
You're watching Joy News. We're taking a break. When we come back, we bring you entertainment with me. I always say you can go to myjoyonline.com and get to read a lot more of the stories we have there. Have a good night.